Friends, my name is Siri and I am from Siri Tutor Blogs. Today we are going to look into a Spring Boot application with MVC architecture and we are going to look into a coding exercise as well. Before we dive into coding, let's quickly understand what is MVC. Um, I know most of you guys know MVC architecture, but first the newcomers who do not know about MVC, I just want to just give them um, a quick heads up on how MVC architecture works. So let me tell you. Okay. So MVC is a design pattern. MVC architecture. It is mainly it represents model, view, and controller. So any user that hits on a request from a UI, we have a UI. It can be in form of JSP, XML, Timeleaf, or it can be in JavaScript or any format from the UI where we see the interface, right? Buttons, text boxes, radio buttons, and all such things. Any kind of website is a UI. So when a user sends out a request, it is usually goes into a controller. So it usually the request will be handled by the controller, the first controller, and this is called the UI. The UI, whatever we are seeing, is called as a view. Okay, and when it goes into the controller is responsible in managing if the request comes to our end, where exactly it has to send the request. It does the mapping for us. It will help us in redirecting our request to what model it has to control. It has to call. So it usually sends the request to a model. So model is where the whole business logic resides. So inside model we have Java class objects and business logic, and there will be a lot of services that has business logic that will process our request, and then it will send to DAO layer. In the DAO layer, it handles all the database implementation logic. So it creates the tables and all the table objects. This handling is done in DAO layer, and intern DAO layer will be forwarded to DB. So once the DB, the request is executed in the DB, it retrieves the response to back to the DAO. It retrieves the records, and the response will go back from DAO to model, and model to controller, and controller to the view. So this is request and this is response. So the request can be of different types, as we are saying HTTP requests. We have different types of methods for HTTP, like the post, put, get, delete, update. There are so many requests. So based on the request, the queries will be executed on the DB. For example, if it is a post, it creates a new record. If it is a put, it updates an existing record. If it is a get, it just does a select query. So this is how it usually goes. Let's now look into the coding exercise and then see. So today not going to uh, we are not going to connect to the database, but I'm going to mimic and demonstrate you with a model and controller layer without database. In our next example, I will going to explain you how we can connect to database. So for that, you need to understand this example. Let's start our example. So I am using a Eclipse IDE and I'm going to open a Spring Boot application. And this is Spring Boot application. Um, and then let's click on next. We need Spring Boot dev tools. We don't need a Lombok. We don't need. Uh, yeah, let's keep. We are not going to use Spring Data JPA and MySQL driver, but we are going to use it in our next demo. So I'm going to just keep it as it is and click on next and click finish. So there is an app here. Where is our application got created? Hmm, yeah, here is our application. Um, this is our application. So let's start coding. So we did not had any code yet. So let's create a package. So let's create a package. Called view. No, not view. It's model. And let's create a book. Let's create a book class here, and inside book we are going to add it with a component annotation, and then let's make it simple with simple properties for this book. ID string name and author, price, and date of publication, date of published. So let's take a local date, um, date of publication, published, date of published. Yeah. should be the bench. I think we have to import this package. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Let's create the um, default constructors and automate default and parameterized constructors and getters and setters using field. Okay, we are done with the Java class. Now let's create um, a service method. Let's create a service method. Yeah, let me create all the packages first, and I will put everything side by side so that you can have a good understanding how the layers are working, um, and then we can go from there. So do have a layer. Let's create a service layer, and 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 a controller. Let's create a controller. Um, okay, let me put everything side by side so that it will be easy for you with the coding. Okay, let's get started. So we have to, in a DO layer, we have to annotate with a repository annotation for the Spring Boot application. I'm going to tell you what exactly why we have to use repository, but for today's video, we are just going to see the MVC implementation in Spring Boot. Let's not waste the time in for the explanation, but when we are trying to implement a DFA layer, we have to add repository annotation. Um, so here I'm not going to connect to a database, but instead we are going to create our own hard-coded data here. So I'm going to implement a book list of books, and we are going to return it through REST controller. So list book, we have already implemented a book class, and we maybe let's say we will say arrays dot as a list, and we will let's let's give some values. One divided. Uh, there's a Harry Potter. Next one is author name, right? I am not quite sure what is the author, who is the author of the book, but we'll take a look at the author. I think it is. You can write your own, you know, author names. Doesn't matter for the books you want, and I think you have good knowledge on writing authors and book names. So yeah, and what is the next one? The author is J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter. Uh, what is the next one? Book ID, title, author, and the price of the book. Yeah, and then we have price of the book, local date dot now is the yeah. And let's do the next one. Let's copy the previous one and then paste it here so that we can avoid some mistakes. Control. Let's do lot of things. Let's leave it the author as it is, but we'll change the rate, the price. And then let's leave it as it is, and that's it. We are going to do one more book, um, which is Wimpy Kid, maybe. Mm, Charles. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think we need one more parent. And here we have to import a list. We have to import books from our package. Yeah, this is pretty much it. We have declared our own object here. We have instantiated that object. We have assigned some values to it. And now let's implement one method. Public void get books. Let's say books. Public void DAO books. Because it is just to understand that this is from DAO, I'm gonna put DAO. And I'm just gonna return this books. Because we are returning the books, the return type should be list books. List books. Yeah, this is pretty much it. Now let's jump into our service method. Uh, let's add the service method with service annotation, and Spring Boot has that service annotation already built in. And now let's let's uh, let's add a method called get service. In this method service books, we are going to return books from DAO layer. So the DAO layer is not there, so we have to create an object of the DAO layer. But we don't have to create the object for the DAO layer because the Spring Boot will going to help us creating that. So only thing we have to do is creating a reference, and we have to add an annotation called @autowired. Yeah. So let's add the annotation and let's import DAO. So let's use the reference get DAO books. Okay. And because the return type is list books, we have to change it to list books here as well. Now let's have a look into controller. In controller, we have to say REST controller because we are going to see the output in the Postman or on the browser. REST controller. Now let's create an object. Now the same way we have to create an object of the service layer here in order to access this method. And let's import it. Which one we have to import? We have to import only the one which we have created. You will have to remember that. And yeah. And let's do AutoWire. Let the Spring Boot handle the object creation for us. Okay, and let's create a method for us. Let's create a method get controller. Okay. Create a controller box class, and that will return a service dot get service bus. Okay. Yeah, the same thing. We are going to do it here. Return the list books. This is pretty much it. But in the controller, we have to give get mapping for us to use this method. We are just going to use the same method name to avoid any kind of confusion. Yeah. What is it saying? The method get service. Yeah. Casting. Create a method. It doesn't have a service books. What did we give here? Get service books, right? Maybe we have to save it. Yeah, because we did not save it, it is not. It's not seeing that method, so that's why it's complaining. So here we have already. Yeah, we have already created those methods, and let's fire it up and see if it is up and running or not. We have saved the application, and then let's run the application. Our application is over here. So before running the application, we have to add some configurations in properties file, which is in application.properties. So let's open that. And we have to add some properties here. Um, Let me grab those properties from the previous example. I don't want to waste time with this. I'm going to create another session for that, so that it will be easy for you. But for now, we are just focusing on. Okay. Mm, yeah. And the database we are going to use is, let's see, what is the database available for us? Mm, where is the database? This is the database, right? Yeah, this one. Um, we have, let's use this YT database, for connectivity. But in this, we are not using any database connection, but it is complaining because we have added MySQL and MySQL and GPA. We are going to look into this later, but for now, I'll just added the property in order our application can be successfully ran. Okay, let's run the application. This is the application we have. Let's run the application. Right click, run as on Java application. This is pretty much it. Let's see. Yeah. So our application is up and running on port 8080. Let's fire it up. What is the under controller? What is the mapping we have specified in the controller? That is the one we have to look into. So we have to make sure we have a right mapping value in order to fetch all the JSON files. So here we got all our JSON information that we have put in the service. I hope you understand this application. Please do comment if you have any questions. Before we leave, I just want to show a simple example. So we have 3 records to demonstrate that service will handle all the business logic. Let's add little bit of logic in service before we leave, and then we'll wrap it up this session. Let's go into the service class and let's see. No, this one. Yeah, in service class, we can even add this kind of logic. Let's do the same for our service class as well, YT. Where is the service class? Here. So we are returning the list books object. So here, let's add a little bit of logic here. So here we are displaying all the books, but let's display only the books which are written by J.K. Rowling. Let's do that logic and we'll wrap it up. So let's for avoid confusion. Let's use proper names. And then let's iterate through the oops. And then I'll find out if the book dot get what is the author name, right? We are going to um, validate with the author name if it is equal to um, no, no, this one. What is the author name that we wanted to validate here? If it is Rowling, J.K. Rowling, within double quotes, we have to do. Then what are we going to do here? Let's create another list, array list of book. Filtered, maybe we will say filtered list. Array list of book. Okay. Let's import the array list. And then let's add it to this filter list dot add and which one we are going to add? This book. Okay, and then we are simply going to return this filtered list. That's it. We are not returning the whole list. We are returning only the filtered list. Let's fire it up and then, yeah, it's already up and running. Let's see. So I hope you understand the MVC architecture in Spring Boot application. This is a very simple application which is not connecting to any database, but I just want to give you knowledge on how MVC architecture can be implemented in Spring Boot without connecting to a database, because we have hard-coded everything here. Without connecting, we have hard-coded this data and we are just fetching and displaying in the UI, which is our browser. But in our next session, we are going to see how we can connect, how we can create the table from the class level, and then it creates a table in the MySQL server, and how we can fetch data. I hope you all enjoyed this session. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you. Bye.